Everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Truth Noir. I'm joined here once again by the irrepressible, indefatigable, whatever other multi-syllable word you want to ascribe to him, it probably fits.
I'll accept that.
Vince Eckert.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be back here in Truth Noir. Howdy.
This is his, I think, third foyer into the Truth Noir spectrum, and so we're glad to welcome you back, man. Thanks for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Glad to be here back again, and excited to jump into today's mysteries.
Well, you know, we're having a cup of tea here, so let's toast to that.
To the gentleman behind us, our raison d'etre, if you will.
Yeah, man, our reason for existing, the man in the tinfoil hat.
Reaching out to you, buddy. This one's for you.
Yeah, we're still trying to find out who this is.
Yeah. We gotta get him on the podcast. Get him subscribing.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we're here with Vince. We're doing the same thing we've always done, which is basically trying to, put information out there that is not generally put out there in the mainstream media, but is nonetheless true. And even more so, this is a part 2 episode. Last time we were talking about conspiracy theories that, of course, you know, as our man in the tinfoil hat might suggest, you think, oh, conspiracy theory, that's just a bunch of horse shit. Last week we were talking about conspiracy theories that actually ended up being true.
Wow. So it's not all just theory.
Yeah, no, these were
reality.
These were things that ended up actually happening. And as it turns out, there were so many of them that we're doing a part 2 episode, which you are here to
oh wow! So
elaborate upon.
What's left in this this stack of true conspiracy theories?
Well, you know, man, there's a lot of them. There are certainly far more than we can actually express and still attempt to have a entertaining show.
Sure.
Because people will.
Otherwise, we'd just be sitting here going through the list. Well, this one's right, and that one, and this one.
Yeah.
Might as well redo Snopes.com.
And people, Snopes.com is a fantastic web. Snopes.com.
It's a great resource.
The site that we were citing from last time was I'm trying to recall it offhand. I'll put a link at the bottom of this episode again, right at the bottom here. But it was NS Archive, NSA.
Okay.
Letter R, archive. .org.
Alrighty.
And this is a nonprofit website that is hosted through George Washington University, and they're the largest free archive of documents that have been attained through the Freedom of Information Act.
Interesting. Then where is George Washington University located?
I believe it's in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
I could be mistaken on that, but the actual source of this information is legit. And
the federal government, they have to respond to Federal Information Act requests in a timely way, right? That's part of it. They can't just ignore these things. They have to respond to them in some way.
Yeah, they can decline you, but they cannot not respond. And so this is the largest free database to actually look up these documents that, I mean, you name it, and it's one of those things where I can put up any number of PDF documents of varying degrees of resolution, and I can say, well, look, fellas, here it is right there. I could replace the tinfoil hat man with these documents.
Sure.
And any number of people.
But why would you?
Yeah, no, I mean he's a
He's a fixture of our lives on the show.
He's a beautiful looking man.
But you know, for the sake of argument, you could put all these up there, but
I could, and I try to, and I will tonight. Like, you know, it's one of those things where you can put these documents up there, and people can say, well, you know, you can just like you know you can put anything up there, and who's to say it's true? Now, my regular response is, well, then, fuck you. You can
sure, yeah.
The avenues are here. You can you're more than welcome to try to put together your own show and put together, you know, present whatever you want, whatever you like, whatever you feel is true. But the fact of the matter is, there are these documents out there, and you can go see them for yourselves, and these are readily available.
Sure. And I think, you know, this is an aside here, but I think the sort of worst person, or the worst type of person, in my estimation, is sort of the willfully ignorant. I mean, it's one thing to just not understand something, that's fine, or like to not be able to comprehend it or something. But once you realize that there's information out there that could change your opinion about something or another, and you willfully ignore that, you know, you're just a boob. You're a fool at that point. Those, in my opinion, are some of the worst individuals. Those who don't want their worldview to be challenged at all.
Absolutely, you know, and it's one of those things. And you know, Mark Twain, I think, said it best, as he said so many fantastic things, and he said, and I paraphrase, but it was something to the effect of, we're all born ignorant. Mm-hmm. It takes hard work to be stupid.
That's right.
After a certain point, you know. And it's one of those things where, you know, the information is there, people are putting it out there, and it's a matter of, like, stop buying into the party line. Like, if it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Like, think back to when you were watching the Transformers cartoons, mm-hmm. right? And it was one of those, like, oh, well, it's either you're a Autobot or a Decepticon. It's not that way anymore, like, because it's not really about being right or wrong. And I think that's really what the political parties are trying to do these days. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about coalescing to the fact that, like, things are fucked up. And
patently so, it's obvious.
Yeah, you know, and you can be fiscally conservative, you know, which would make you, like, politically conservative, mm-hmm. right? Like,
sure.
You would vote for a conservative candidate, except for the fact that then you have to, you know, believe that the earth is 6,000 years old. You have to believe that the founding fathers never did any wrong. You have to believe that America is right all of the time, no matter what, and they never did anything that has, you know, been questionable.
I think you would have to be quite naive to believe that last one.
You know,
but I mean, from a certain perspective, some people don't even care. I mean, if you look at somebody like Donald Trump, who at this point is basically the Republican frontrunner, he doesn't, like, the facts don't really matter to him. I mean, he's just like an opinion generator.
Right.
It's like, you know, he wants to have a take on something, and what you know, how he's arrived at that take doesn't matter at all. Like, he makes it a point to say that he doesn't read anything but like the newspaper. He doesn't read policy papers. He doesn't take into consideration informed opinions.
Nope.
Like, he's just like, give me the gist of something. Now I'm going to say it's bad or it's good or whatever. I mean, and that kind of like snap judgment politics are the kind of thing we're dealing with at this point. And I think that's, I think that's really amusing in a way.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, that is where people, the mass populace, the people that are going to be watching the Republican National Convention for this quite frankly, sham of a convention that's going to be going on in, November of next year.
Sure. And I mean, the first debate is tomorrow night, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, or if not tonight. I mean, I've made it a point to not know.
Okay, well, go on. I think I think that's a Trumpism in of itself, but I think it might be tomorrow. Anyway, go on.
Like, whatever it is, like, watch it. Like, watch how these people spout these absurdities about illegal immigration and how I don't know, how the police are getting a bad rap and how it should be okay that they're shooting people in the face because they have a hard job, and all of those people should have just been following directions. Like, it's one of those things where after a certain point, you have to realize that all of these things that you were thinking kind of don't agree with, like, what I think is morally correct. Like, you were right. Even though the mass media was telling you, like, well, no, you should have just been listening to the cops. Or, if it's the right wing or the left wing, whatever it is, like crazy, stupid bullshit party line nonsense that you're being fed, that ain't the way it has to be.
Certainly.
You can vote third party, and I'm planning on having a third party candidate on here pretty soon, within the next couple months.
Oh, nice.
That is actually running on a platform. And I'm sure they will not be welcome to the actual presidential, debate, because there were a lot of people that weren't allowed to attend the last one.
Well, I mean, frankly, what is the barometer? You have to raise a certain amount of money, or is it like, what is the exclusion level? At what point don't you get to be part of the debate?
Well, technically there's none.
Okay.
If you are a presidential candidate, you should be allowed to attend the debate.
Certainly.
But there were a lot of people that were not. Roseanne Barr, not allowed to attend the last presidential debate, even though she was a candidate, even though she had a strong following, even though she had a strong platform to run on and arguments to present.
And just an aside here,
not allowed to be there.
Wasn't her last her last major project called Roseanne's Nuts, about her harvesting or nuts in like Hawaii or something? Well, I believe that's what she was up to before.
Well, she was harvesting bees.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she's actually very environmentally minded.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like, that was part of her platform was, okay, we have this problem. The bees are dying.
Which is a serious problem.
It is. It's a massive problem. And then no one cares about it. And so that was the thing she was talking about. And so no one made a big ruckus about her being there.
There's also, in a related story, sort of not quite as rapid, but a die-off of reptiles and amphibians that's taking place all over the world.
Oh yeah, no, we did that one.
Oh really? You talked about that in the show as well.
Yeah, that the Earth is actually. I actually was going to include a picture of, and it was like a little pintograph, you know, like what you would put on a pin.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like a campaign pin. But it was basically, you know, all my friends are dead, and it was a little sad dinosaur. But yeah, like the fact that we have actually entered into the 6th great extinction event that mankind, or not even mankind, that the Earth has known. There has not been a greater die-off of species since the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, and what took a giant asteroid crashing into the Yucatan Peninsula to do, we are actually doing quite well on our own with the stupid bullshit things that we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is what you were getting to.
Certainly. Well, that's a for real conspiracy theory. That one isn't even. That's not even like a theory. That's really just happening. Like we truly are in an extinction event.
Yeah.
A species that have formerly been roving the Earth for tens of thousands of years are suddenly disappearing, never to be seen again. This is for real.
Yep.
100% true. One of the scariest things you can imagine. Plants and animal species beyond number, ones that humankind may never even know. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, and it's one of those things where, like, I mean, I don't even know how to say it, man. Like, there are medicines, there are branches of the food chain that will be destroyed, and we have not begun to see the implications of yet for the certain species that we have verified have been extinct.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, really, as technologically advanced as we are, frankly, humans still don't understand complex systems all that well. I mean, they do to a certain extent, but something like you know, all the pieces that go into a rainforest ecosystem, for instance, are still not as well understood as they could be. And, you know, if we had another 25 years to study the animals that are left, perhaps we'd be in a better position. But the fact is that many of them be gone in 5 or 10. Like, you know, things are rapidly degrading in a number of ecosystems and biomes around the world.
Well, yeah, you know, and there's been recent documentaries that have suggested that the only, you know, that there is a certain thing to be said for the you know, the lungs of the world, right? The rainforests of South America are aided in their process by the biomass that is blown across the Atlantic Ocean from the Sahara Desert, you know, like, and so it's this kind of concept that the Earth is genuinely a living being unto itself, and it should not be fucked with.
Yeah, well, certainly on the
You know?
On the grand scale that humankind has in its folly done. I mean, you know, looking back, you know, say if people 200 years, 500 years look back on us now, they're bound to think that we were hopelessly naive. That we were toying with things that
surely they couldn't have known.
Yeah, right. How could they have been? How could they have been so silly to do that?
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that we did. There are people saying these things. There are people coming up with technologies that would allow us to mitigate these processes exponentially. You know, hey, you wanna reduce your carbon footprint by 100%? Let's give the developing nations these solar power, these desalination abilities, these technologies that are able to allow them to develop pollution free. and then we don't.
No, instead they're these are places where the most good could be done, and they're the ones that are lagging behind the rest of the world. I mean, it's to put it in a colorful way, it's truly ass backwards. It makes little to no sense. It's leveraging our technology not at all. I mean, there are people who are trying to do good for, places in Africa and other nations in the so-called third world. But they're frankly few and far between, and they're dominated by sort of evil quasi philanthropic organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Right. Yeah. And these, and it sucks to bring up these things, but unfortunately it has to be, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, there's a little bit of good that they do, but I think Bill Gates is a little bit misguided in about 80% of the things that he does.
I think that's fair to say.
And for as wealthy of a person as Bill Gates is, and for as much as he wants to mine the genius level IQs out of high population countries like India and China, he's not really doing a whole lot to actually help the majority of the people of this country and of the countries that he claims to want to help.
And I mean, even in this country, they are one of, that foundation is one of the main proponents of the restructuring of schools, say in Chicago, Detroit, here in LA, the push towards the charter schools. I mean,
sure.
you look who's holding the purse strings for a lot of those sort of things, and Bill and Melinda Gates keep popping up, and it's like this sort of wholesale destruction of the public education system in the country, to push it towards private enterprise is frankly one of the biggest challenges we have to face as a country, and it's like so it's not just abroad that those huge foundations are screwing things up, but
sure.
rather here domestically as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely, because like when you do that, when you endorse charter schools, you are automatically ignoring the vast majority of the American population, where you were saying like, okay, well, in China, the population is how much? 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, they don't all just live in Beijing and Shanghai. They live all over the country.
That's true, and it's quite a large country with a lot of different landforms and
absolutely
types of culture.
There are those genius level IQs living all over the place. The same is true with the country with India and Bangladesh and these other like very high population density areas mm-hmm. and nationalities. But yet you're going to endorse charter schools which only cater to the highest 1% mm-hmm. of American citizenship. You're kind of a prick, Bill Gates.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're gonna go ahead and say fuck you, fuck you, Bill Gates.
Yeah, he deserves it. He 100% deserves it.
Like, you're an American, and the things that you are doing for other countries, as you should seek out the high population density areas, and you should find the genius level IQs there. And you should also do that for America, because America is another high population density area where there are a bunch of genius level motherfuckers that are able to elevate the world that you're not doing shit for. So yeah, fuck you, Bill Gates. You're an asshole.
Take that, Bill.
So aside from saying fuck you to Bill Gates and also the Koch brothers, because
just in general.
Yeah,
I mean, they're responsible for BuzzFeed. Come the fuck on, guys.
Yeah, no, fuck the Koch brothers. We'll get into that in another episode. But the topic of our episode today, which we usually get through halfway through, so we're about on track.
Excellent.
We're doing a part 2 episode that has to deal with conspiracy theories that actually ended up turning out to be true. Mm-hmm. People like to say, well, you can't have a conspiracy theory between 3 people unless 2 of those people are dead, so conspiracy theories are bullshit.
Yeah.
And so this is where we say to those people, you're a dumb fuck. And here's why. And we did this last episode also, but basically conspiracy theories progress because there is a certain high goal in mind, and that goal is known by very few people.
Okay.
Usually 1 or 2 or 3. Usually those people are the heads of the departments of science, propaganda, resources.
To come back to the classic 1984 model.
Right, it's one of those things where, well, if those 3 people have those same interests, they're probably not arguing with each other. If they are, there's certain safeguards in place.
Sure, checks and balances in the U.S. government, for instance, that
Sure.
are absent in that model.
Well, and to take it a step further, there's assassination.
Sure.
There's discreditation. Mm-hmm. So if you tell the mass media what we're doing, we're going to kill you. If we think you're going to tell the mass media what you're doing, we're going to discredit you. We're going to tell everyone, we're going to tell the media that you, that you cheated on your wife, that you fuck little kids, that you are a communist.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
it were,
a classic smear tactic.
Whatever it is, that's what we're going to say about you. And so, this episode is about a part 2 of conspiracy theories that actually ended up being true.
Okay.
And so, as usual, I'm sure my photographs here are going to be completely out of order. But
what do we got there?
What do we have here? We're going to see. So this is a memorandum that, and I don't, okay, so this is, all right, I hope you guys can read this at home. I'm having a hard time, from my desk reading this, but since we have this on full screen, I'll just go ahead and read it. So this is the counterintelligence program. This is a thing called COINTELPRO.
Okay.
And so this is a memorandum that was sent to the law enforcement of San Antonio, Texas.
All right.
All right. So it says, San Antonio is extremely pleased that such a program has been instituted, as San Antonio feels that a successful counterintelligence program can help to stifle the growth of activity of the new left, which in some cases appear to border on sedition. So this was the new left.
Yeah.
And then when you come to know who the new left were at the time, we'll get into that in a little bit. As an overall recommendation under this program, San Antonio at the outset strongly recommends that the Bureau give serious consideration of preparing or having prepared a small pamphlet or leaflet. The contents of this leaflet should utilize public source information or other material such as was used in Bureau documents captioned "The New Left, Road to Anarchy." So these were things that were already set in motion.
Yeah.
And it becomes a kind of false flag event where, you go.
A threat is created, essentially.
Yeah, where and again, we have to kind of leaf through this stuff. COINTELPRO was, and it went on for quite a while, but one of the figures that it sought to discredit was Martin Luther King himself. This guy that said, "Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed." This is a person who encouraged people to sit in front of buildings that were oppressing people and ask peacefully that people not patronize those buildings. And COINTELPRO was a program that sought to discredit people like Martin Luther King.
I believe they also sent him, I might be mistaken here, but I believe they also sent him a letter that was supposedly from a disgruntled supporter that was in fact fabricated, urging him to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I believe that was actually part of their overall tactics to silence Dr. King.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of them.
I mean, it's just, it's amazing to think that somebody who basically, made their name through passive resistance had sort of an active, government branch out to discredit and perhaps bring about their untimely demise in one way or another.
Yeah, and encourage him to commit suicide. Yes, this was one of the projects that COINTELPRO was undertaking, and it wasn't just against Martin Luther King. It was against Medgar Evers. It was against certain other people who were involved in, and it wasn't even African Americans. It was against anyone who was dissenting against the government. And so when you consider that this is what the government of this nation was up to, against a person like Martin Luther King, saying that you should treat your black brother with the same, like things that today have come to go without saying, like
sure, certainly.
like you're a fuckface if you discriminate against a black man or woman. Okay.
I mean, the whole doctrine of separation is another thing that, we find laughable today. I mean, the idea that different races wouldn't be mixed, that's silly. But at the same time, like, this was what Dr. King was fighting against. People who legitimately believe that.
And then, yeah, absolutely. And then to find that the government of this nation was involved in sending this man letters to persuade him to kill himself.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, that's insanity.
To send his wife letters from unknown women, saying that Martin Luther King had cheated on her with them. This is what this government has done. And to say that it's not going on anymore is completely ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely.
As you've come to know, like, the police are involved in this to this day, where they'll shoot someone for absolutely no reason because they pissed the officer off.
Yeah, certainly.
For saying, well, I don't feel like talking to you, officer. And so that person was murdered, and then that person falsified documents. They got people to lie on their behalf to convince a jury that that person was guilty of a crime. Sometimes they've succeeded, sometimes they haven't. But
the fact that this is an endemic sort of thing that happens. I mean, this is for real. Police cover-ups.
This is a thing that is still going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we just, you know, thankfully we're in an age now where people have cell phone videos. There's easy ways to check on the integrity of the system and the police, and in those ways,
absolutely,
it's easily to record things, and so you know, time and time again, we see these sort of bad behaviors by way of the police and legal system come to light, and I think we're going to see even more of that in the coming weeks, months, years before anything is even close to changing. You know, it's we're going to see a lot more of.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, for certain. I'm just saying, like, you know, we're going to see a lot more of the behind-the-scenes stuff that's really just taking place under our noses as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's one of those things where the workings of the government to facilitate these things, they've been the same. You know, you know, we can scroll back a little bit. You know, COINTELPRO happened a while ago, but there are, and I'm trying to, oh my goodness.
Oh, the atomic bomb.
Yeah, well, that's the Manhattan Project. That's actually a little bit before this. But, oh my god, you know, man, this always happens. And yeah, so here we go. This is a thing called Project or Operation Ajax.
Okay.
And so this is, you know, when in 1953 the CIA staged a coup in, you know, the nation of Iran that overthrew the constitutionally elected, like this was a person that the people of Iran elected, right? They overthrew that person, Minister Dr. Mossadegh. And this was a person who, you know, had no problem with Muslim women going to school. He had no problem with people drinking alcohol as long as they did it, you know,
discreetly.
Yeah, you know, not getting stupid about it. And so then after this is when you had all of the extreme Islamic fundamentalism, the Shah of Iran, come into play. And you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I played guitar in a restaurant that was owned by a Persian, a man that came from Iran. And he was born right after this. And he showed me a picture, you know, and I wish I had this photograph to show you all, you know, but, you know, unfortunately I don't. But he showed me this picture of, you know, and it was a picture of his mother and her friends. And they were dressed like, you know, kind of like 1960s hippie chicks that you might see from America. Not dressed in burqas, not holding weapons. You know, like they were just normal people that were able to go to school. And these photographs were taken on a college campus. And he said, this is what my country was like before America interfered. And it turns out that it was, you know, about 3 or 4 years after this coup d'etat took place, that you know, he was a child coming of age and saw these things happen. You know.
Didn't Operation Ajax, wasn't that Kermit Roosevelt? Wasn't he involved in that?
Sure.
I believe he was one of the prime movers in that coup. A long time player in the spy scene.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it happened in Iran, it happened in Colombia. That's how the nation of Panama came to be. The nation of Panama didn't come to exist until I think it was the early 60s or late 50s or something like that. And that was the result of a similar coup that happened in the nation of Colombia because we wanted that little strip of land so that we could make the Panama Canal.
Yep.
It's also where the war on drugs in America came from.
Oh, Reagan. Reagan and the war on drugs. It's been so effective.
And so, yeah, absolutely. And I've been meaning to do book reviews and have like books that I can like put here and tell you. And unfortunately, I don't have one tonight. But one that is an excellent source for these things, even for the coup in Iran, is a book called Confessions of a...
Dangerous Mind?
Not Dangerous Mind. Confessions
that's the Chuck Barris one, I think.
I'm going to think about it in a second.
Okay, sure.
But, Economic Hitman. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And this is a book written by a person who actually just had a job as an economist. Mm-hmm. Just a person who graduated from college at the right time with the right field, who was sent to these places and said, hey, we just need you to say this shit.
Yeah.
We need you to say that this giant...
the party line.
This giant area of land is rich in resources, whether it was or not. It was politically, strategically... a place where we needed to have military personnel involved.
Yeah.
Didn't matter, it's like the Isthmus of Panama. What resources are there except the fact that it was a narrow strip of land that you could...
well, it's very useful for the canal, that's for sure.
Yeah, you could make a canal. It was the narrowest strip between the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean where you could do this shit.
Yep.
And so he went there and he said exactly what he needed to say, and he felt terrible about it afterwards. And he wrote this book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And so, it's that kind of shit that if you watch this show, again, I hate to, quote LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, but don't take my word for it. Look into it for yourself.
Certainly.
There are these certain things where, and we're not done with it. There were other ones also. There's the Manhattan Project. There's Project Mockingbird. Yeah, here's the Manhattan Project. Now this is a thing that the tablet keeps freezing. Okay, there we go. So you might have heard about the Manhattan Project. This is a thing that helped develop the atomic bomb that helped us win World War II. And you're like, well, so what's the big deal? Well, this was a conspiracy theory. This was a thing that happened that very few people were allowed to know about. There were rumors about it. There were people that spoke out against it. And they were arrested and discredited, or they were assassinated. But if you look here on the screen, there are a number of locations where this operation was carried out.
Yeah, certainly.
You can see the big circles. There's Richmond up in Richland up in the state of Washington. There is Los Alamos and Alamogordo in New Mexico. That's where the majority of these nuclear tests were carried out. There's Oak Ridge, where a lot of these things were researched. And so what you have here is what a lot of people like to discredit is, well, you can't have a widespread conspiracy theory, unless a bunch of these people are dead. Well, it comes down to compartmentalization. You have cities that were built up out of nowhere, and you have scientists that were put there to, basically accomplish building a bomb.
Yeah.
People that spoke out about it were discredited. A lot of people just didn't know anything about what was going on. Los Alamos or Alamogordo, we're testing new ordnance that makes this giant fucking mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Well, they didn't know until way afterwards. This was a conspiracy theory that ended up actually being true also. And so stay vigilant, people. There are people like Eric Snowden out there that are, telling you these things too, and you can say, well, that's just, bullshit. Shut your fucking mouth and understand that these things have been going on for quite a while. The government has been doing these things to you for a long time.
Absolutely.
Eric Snowden is a patriot, regardless of what the president
Edward
of the
Snowden.
United States... Edward Snowden, thank you. Sorry. He is a patriot, regardless of whatever, the current president of the United States has to say about you.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is with a heavy heart that I must be going.
Absolutely, man.
It's been a pleasure being here in Truth Noir. Thank you guys for tuning in. Farewell.
Vince Eckert is going on a little journey, and we want to wish him a prosperous one at that. And, it's one of those things, you guys. There's plenty of stuff we didn't get to tonight. And I've already put the links up there. I've already put the documents up there that you can see. And there are people out there that will say, well, you can manufacture anything you want. But the fact of the matter is, the Freedom of Information Act is a thing that has actually happened. And until it gets repealed, you can actually go to certain websites and you can access these documents. I've showed a few of them. There's a lot of them that are just not high enough resolution that would be able to, be accessible. And sorry. The least we can do is look into the history of our nation's past and judge it for what it is. There's some cool things we've done. There are some nations that we've helped out. But unfortunately, there's a lot of things that have happened that are not honorable, that are not truthful as far as we've been taught to understand them. And so you don't have to request documents through the Freedom of Information Act anymore. You can actually go to websites like the National Security Archive that is hosted through George Washington University. You can look up these specific things that you would like to know about, and chances are it will probably be there. If you don't know what to look for, we'll keep doing shows that will put you in the right direction. But we appreciate you tuning in. there's a lot of things to still be discovered, and we're going to try and figure that out together. So, good night, and wherever you're going, get there safe. Take care.